America lifts the curtain on a new sport, midget auto racing on a banked board track. It's a combination of the wall of death and speedway on four wheels as the gas buggy pilots blast their way round. Little bigger than Dodgem cars, the midgets are presented as the eighth wonder of the world with all the attractions of a Hollywood circus.
Here comes Seymour again around the outside of Famuli, going into turn one.
When I got out of service, they was building a track at Seekonk. And that was the first race I ever seen with the midgets. Castelline, Sicilio, Bill Randall, all those guys. And I said, boy, I want to be a race driver, you know?
Look out there on the far side.
Back in the day when the technology wasn't there, you muscled the cars around, and you know, the Superman drivers, the toughest guys, hung on with no power steering, and you know, really, you know, manhandled the cars. And
you know, midgets, it doesn't matter who you ask. You can ask Tony Stewart, you can ask Noki, you can ask anybody you want. Pound for pound, a full midget is the hardest race car. You've got to constantly steer that car. It doesn't give you a rest.
And everybody looks at them and says, oh, they're just a go-kart. It's like, okay, we'll get strapped into that go-kart and do 150 miles an hour with it and see what happens. And a lot of people can't do it. So I've driven a lot of different things, and I've just always come back to the midgets because I haven't found anything more exciting than a midget to drive yet.
It's a very passionate group of people. It's a very much so a family-oriented sport. It's fathers and sons, it's grandfathers and grandsons, it's husbands and wives, it's sons and daughters, it's family, friends, cousins, uncles, aunts. That's what makes up NEMA, and that's what makes it so special.
Everybody helps each other. It's like a big family. I mean, it's a big, you got something I need, you'll give it to me. I got something, you'll go. And then we'll beat each other on the racetrack. So it's what it is. You know.
These guys had a car, 3 or 4 guys, young guys had a car, and one of the guys was driving it, but he got scared or something. So he asked me to drive it. So I went out there and I started in the back, and I passed some cars. I didn't know where I was. And the checkered flag come down. I said, well, the race is all over. And they says, go to the starting line. I won the feature. I didn't even know it.
Those words, the Pontiac Silverdome, normally the domain of the Detroit basketball Pistons and the Detroit football Lions, welcomes the auto racing fraternity. Yes, race cars inside the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan.
I would have Bobby White was somebody that would run you tight. You could race wheel to wheel with him. Dave Humphrey, who's 7-time or 8-time champion. I don't even know how many times Dave's been a champion, but he was one of my idols, we'll say, with NEMA. I raced with Dave when he was in his 60s, and he would run you tight and hard. My brother, tight and hard. The Seymours, tight and hard. But these people, you could race and trust them.
One night at Star, several writers have said that the greatest rivalry in NEMA history was me and Jeff Horn. Jeff kept running crazy, and I kept running crazy, and finally he came down on me, and I said, screw you, and I didn't lift, and I went right over top of his car, tore his injectors off, but I kept going. I never stopped. They made me go to the back of the field because of the yellow. They said, you caused the yellow. I said, I never stopped. So that ticked me off even more. So I came back and won the race.
Gene's 100th. We had problems right from practice. It torched the head gasket, and you know, Gene, he had looked over and said, we're done, and I said, well, you know, we worked really hard on the car, And I told him, I said, no, we didn't bring the car here, put it in the trailer, we're gonna fix it. I remember I got in the midget for the feature, and as soon as it started, it was missing and popping, and Gene was on his four-wheeler in the infield, and I looked over at him and I was pointing to the engine, and he gave me one of these, like, drive it till it blows up. So I started 26th and won the race on, I passed his car, Russ Stower, on the second to last lap and got Gene his 100th win.
Last 5 laps of that race, it was crazy. Randy was closing on me, he had the better car. You know, we got together and he came up on the header with his right front, and you know, whether I went down or he went up, or it was hard racing all the way through, and we rode side by side with his right front on my header the entire straightaway. I don't know how, I don't know who was looking down, but they came apart and we both finished the race, and I think we were both pretty sweating after that one. That was a pretty cool experience.
I would say that the most tragic NEMA memory that I have was when Shane Hammond was killed a number of years ago in a midget. We decided to race the race after Shane got killed. It was only a couple days after his wake.
And I remember there was a caution on lap 4 for a rain delay. Shane died on lap 4 right around the same time.
And when they threw the green flag again, when the rain cleared up, Randy went right to the front and won the race. And I'll never forget this. He climbed up on top of the car and was pointing at the sky, and the clouds opened up, and there's this incredible picture of him pointing to the sky with one break of sun in the clouds, and we know that that was Shane.
Well, the one thing is it's been around for 65 years, so the history is one of the things that's special. Again, the group of race cars that we drive, the group of people that are involved, obviously there's nothing like it in the country, in the world right now.
That's special to me is the family, the camaraderie, all the friendship. My grandfather started out in the midgets in New York. My father raced NEMA when I was 8 or 9 years old. We used to go races with him. My brother raced, my son races, my niece races, so it's pretty much a lot of us are racing.
My father ran the first race in 1953 with NEMA. 4 or 5 years old when I could be able to walk. I was in a crib, I was at the racetrack with my mother.
And I think it's very easy to get involved as a family and race as a father and son as an example, because it's been done in the past and the cars are easy to work on.
If you need help, there's always someone there. You really don't have to ask. There's people always walking around and looking or offering help.
I can't even think of a word to describe it. Last year it was phenomenal. This year it's unbelievable. I had such a good time, and there's so many cars and so many nice people that I can't wait for next year.
If your competition, you don't really, and you need something, they might not give it to you. But NEMA, everybody will give you the shirt off their back if you needed it.
The tradition, the owners, the drivers, they've been around for a long time. The cars are special. Yeah, just everything put together makes it for a real great club.
There's so many people that you can't even begin to mention everybody, but it's, racing's a close-knit community, and more so than a community family. It's going back to the beginning of the thing, my family.